pivotal to my professional life. The empirical evidence suggests to us.
So disclaimer, to be honest, I'm hesitant to do this reaction. Just enough info is enough. Politics is a very broad topic, and I don't wanna dig deeper onto it because the issues or the informations branches out and it's really hard to explain. It's kinda the chickens. So I'm back again with my late night reaction videos, but for today it is kinda different. To be honest, I'm hesitant to do this reaction, but as you all know, I'm currently residing in the Philippines, and this year is a very important year in politics because if you've been interested on Philippine politics on the past years, our current sitting President Rodrigo Duterte have reached the ending of his term, and on May this year we are expecting a new president. So I really tried my best to not dwell on Philippine politics, but it's been all over my feed, especially Facebook. So for today, this video is Facebook watch versus its full video. So I found this video on my watch suggestions because this year there is, I think, 2 events that is very trending. The first one is the presidential campaign rally, and just right now, 7 hours ago, posted by Philstar. This is a big news it's a news and media publication in the Philippines just posted this 7 hours ago, and and it's in my suggestions, in my Facebook watch suggestions, and it sparks my interest on this event. So this is a presidential debate hosted by smni. So it's kind of confusing because out of, I think, 6 presidential aspirants, only 4 attended this debate. So disclaimer, I'm just a normal Filipino citizen. Politics for me is important, but due to some issues and toxicity, I chose not to dwell on it. Number 1 reason why I hate Philippine politics is there's no boundary. If you're famous and if you have money, you can run. But the toxic part of it is there's no boundary between entertainment and politics itself. people like celebrities, especially with big platforms, has a lot to say. There's a lot of negativity, and just basically, if you're on the opposing side, you will hear a lot of negative things about the person you're opposing to, which is very toxic for me. So that's just some thoughts I have on Philippine politics. So for today's video, I'm gonna focus on this video that was suggested by Facebook Watch, which is posted by philstar.com. So yeah, let's react in 3, 2, 1.
Before you call on MJ, well, I'm an educator and I have been teaching for the past 55 years. You know, I started teaching when I was 20, so I'm 75 now. So education is really so pivotal to my professional life. The empirical evidence suggests to us that effective learning happens on the basis of 2 factors. First, the mastery of the subject matter by the teacher, and 2, a fairly high level of motivation by the student, and they are interacting. Therefore, if you want to do any policy changes, that means you pay attention and you invest on the teacher. Do not invest on air-conditioned rooms, classrooms, etc. Because these things can happen even under the papaya tree. But if the teacher is bobo, no learning happens. So that means if you have limited number...
So bobo means stupid in English.
Number of pesos, put it on the training of teachers.
So this is Bongbong Marcos. When President Rodrigo Duterte was still running for president, he ran for vice president alongside one of the very good female leaders in the Philippines, which is we know her as Senator Santiago, but unfortunately she passed away, and some magic happened that Bongbong Marcos didn't make it to the vice president position. So yeah, in this year 2022, he decided to run for president. So
okay, the other part, and I was triggered by the question of Dante here, is yes, a legislation which is going through the legislative mill in regard to empowering the CHED. Why in heaven's name did we divide our education system into a DepEd?
This debate is interesting because the first debate that the first politician that I have 100 support, and the first time that I voted for is Rodrigo Duterte. So this debate is very eye-opening for me. We all know the debate with President Rodrigo Duterte attended before was a very funny debate and very informative. It was a very good debate that was televised. So in SMNI news, this news just blew up on social media, especially Facebook, because right now Philippine televisions or channels, some or most of the houses don't have SMNI channel. So, and seeing it now, it's a big event, I guess. They are prepared for it, so it's good to have this kind of debate platforms. The sad part is only 4 participated out of the many candidates for the election, which is very confusing.
K to 12, at CHED, and kung bobo ka, diyan ka na lang sa Boktek, ha? No? I remember, ang uncle ko sabi niya dun sa isang bobo kong pinsan, ay nako kasi, mahina naman ulo mo, mag-teacher ka na lang kaya o mag-military. Oh my God! Yung bobo yung gagawing teacher, no? So, education is so pivotal to the life.
It's kind of hurtful to hear. Right? I know that's being called bobo in Philippines is kind of an insult. So hearing it on a program is kinda
Life of our nation. So, you as chief executives, I would plead that you pay attention to empirical evidence. The critical variable for effective learning to happen is to invest on the teacher. Thank you.
okay. So yeah, that one video sparked my interest. But if I were to add something, I think we also need to focus on events, I may say, because one of my favorite activities in school was the sports events, the cultural, the competitions. That's what I most enjoy in my school days. But yeah, teachers. Of course, if teachers need something to make her teaching more effective to students, then yeah, of course, why not? But I think we also need to establish a school structure where students are exposed to social events, also a support to graduating students, because we all know after graduation we have our own paths, right? But if only we have still support, or we have our teachers or guidance asking us how we are as a graduate, on what we have, how we are after the school, that would be very, very nice. But yeah, it's if teaching is your passion, your student will never forget you. So yeah, let's search this SMNI. So on the first page, my goodness, this is 4 hours. We can't do that. Man. Let's try to react on this one. So this is the what I chose to react to, because it's a shorter time. We can't cater this 4 hours just to react on it. So yeah, let's react on this one. of this video that I clicked is, again, since she was what urged me to watch a video of this debate, presidential debate, I'm gonna react to this video by SMNI News. Let's recognize in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Nagbabalik ang SMNI Presidential Debate 2022. And for the first round, the candidates will be answering questions from the panelists. The first question will come from UP Professor Dr. Clarita Carlos. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer a panelist's question, and other candidates will have 60 seconds each for interpellation, and then 30 seconds for a rebuttal. And just as a reminder for our candidates, you have a timer here in the front, so you can be guided.
It is in English, so it is good because I don't need to, hopefully I don't need to put subs.
As to how much time you have left. Professor Carlos, your question, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the 4 presidential candidates who had both the political commitment and the political courage to be part of this conversation. My area of research and expertise
4 is absent, and they still put their, what do you call that? They still put their speaking tables. Is that, I don't know, I forgot the term, but yeah, only 4 participated.
is on foreign policy and defense and security, so my first question will be within the rubric of these issue areas. All right. If the Quad were
I don't let us let's consult to our best friend Google. Because we don't know what's what really if it's politics, so let's ask Google. Okay.
to become a collective security alliance, you, as our country's chief architect of our foreign policy, are you going to make the Philippines as a member of the Quad? Why and why not?
Professor Carlos's question will be addressed to Secretary Norberto Gonzales first.
Well, we will always be part of arrangements like that. No? And
It's presidential candidate.
yes,
To be honest, I don't know him. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know him. But I'm glad that he attended. This is what the catch, right? Props to these people who are not famous enough but attended this debate. We all know the other four is very famous, you know. And so yeah, still props to them for accepting the invite. Since also they're running for president, so
it's important.
it's a good platform for them to be known. Yeah.
Dapat lagi kasi may mga kasama tayo kung may mga hiharap tayo mga problema sa mundo. Kaya kailangan
He's basically saying that Philippines should be part of the Quad because Philippines is experiencing problems, so it's better to have, I think, others to ask for help. I think that's what he's saying.
kung may mga arrange yan, dapat pinapasok natin.
He says that the Philippines should be involved on the arrangements.
Secretary Gonzalez, if you have nothing to add, the other candidates may react to his answer. I think Secretary Ernie Abella.
Yes. The Philippines needs to retain an independent foreign policy, and in which case it needs to be able to dance between the two great powers.
So again, this is a new place for me, so good for him to attend. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he also became a spokesperson to the president. I'm not sure, but his face is familiar, but I don't know his achievements and experience. So yeah, let's hear what he has to say.
And in which case it needs to be able to dance between the two great powers. As we can maintain relationships with them, but not to join. However, because we need to be able to maintain that specific independent stance, we can relate with either one, the other one, but at the same time, we need to retain our independence.
So he wants to stay at the middle, to not be involved with others' matters, I think.
And be able to sustain our own sovereignty.
That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Mr. Abella, remember, you're still linked to the United States of America because of the Mutual Defense Treaty.
That's true.
So the Quad is composed of, so-called democracies. And so are you more leaning towards being part of the Quad or some other collective security arrangement?
It's not a question of leading more, but the question of being able to maintain both while maintaining a balance.
Balance.
Yeah, I have a problem with the concept of independent because it's like you're sitting on the fence. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean to say that we need to be able to make our own stands and be able to make our own decisions without undue influence from anybody.
I don't know that being friends with everybody is foreign policy.
We're
So
not being
thank
friends
you.
with anybody. We can have trade with the greater power, which is our neighbor. On the other hand, we can maintain MDTs with the people in Quad.
Yeah, well, the reason why, and this is for all the candidates, I asked this question is that right now I'm sure the big powers are trying to carve their own spheres of influence. And because we've always been within the sphere of influence of the United States of America, the Quad is simply an extension of this proposed collective security arrangement.
What
On the
do
other
you
hand-
mean by the Quad, though? Military alliance. Yeah, I remember Philippines have American military that was based in the Philippines for a long time. So, okay.
And they will not always, we can always be sure that they will always stand for us.
Well, of course, nobody can answer that question, even if we ask Biden today,
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I like that interaction though.
Senator Marcos.
Yes, I think any of these agreements we should, of course, encourage as long as it is very clear to us what is the advantage to the Philippines. What the professor just mentioned was she spoke about the great powers trying to carve out spheres of influence. I reject that model that I believe no longer applies in the geopolitics of the modern world. The old Cold War thinking. We have to apply and so it really would depend on what is inside, or what those agreements say that the Philippines what will be. doing and what those other partners of ours will be doing for the Philippines. And once again, because we shouldn't think of the old Cold War system, we should always think in terms of the fine line that the Philippines has to tread in all our foreign policy decisions.
But if
You can't expect your team to manage work with this. With Monday.com's flexible management system, however,
Mr. Marcos, if you reject the concept of spheres of influence, does that mean you're going to scuttle the Mutual Defense Treaty when you become President of the Republic?
By no means.
Linked to
By
the
no
United
means.
States of America as a defense ally.
No, by no means. The relationship with the United States, our special relationship with the United States, is not something that we can treat, be cavalier about. It is a very important one. And it has stood us in good stead for over 100 years. And that, I think, will never disappear from the Philippine psyche, the idea and the memory of what the United States did for us and fought with us in the last war. And so that is a specific part of our foreign policy. But then as we approach, we know that we are a hot spot right now. The West Philippine Sea is a hot spot in geopolitics right now. And that is why we still have to find our own line in terms of all of these arrangements. Except the one simple principle is that we will not cede 1 square inch of the Philippines to any country.
Karen, do I have time for one more follow-up with Mr. Marcos?
Yes, Professor Carlos.
Yeah. Okay.
In defense, if the panelists ask you more questions, we have the term gisa, which means it's like when you're cooking. It's so hard to explain, but when people tell you ginisa ka or nagisa ka ba, means did the panelists had their full attention to you and cook you until you're fully brown, like that. I don't know if my explanation is good, but yeah, I got a gisa vibes when the panelists ask questions.
Okay, if that is the stance that you have taken, Mr. Marcos, suppose you have a situation where China is trying to, take us in, embrace us within its sphere of influence. How would you react as our chief architect of our foreign policy?
Once again, we, in terms of specifically to China, the correct approach still seems to be one of engagement. And no matter what the superpowers are trying to do, we have to work in the interest of the Philippines, and we cannot allow ourselves to be part of the foreign policy of any other country. And we have to have our own foreign policy. So again, whatever the superpowers do, we as a highly strategic geographic, are having a highly strategic geographical location in the world, really have to walk that very, very fine line between these great powers who, I always say, these are great powers, we are in between. If they sneeze at the same time, we disappear from the map. And that is something that we always have to keep in mind.
Thank you.
Galyodi, we'll hear from you.
That's true.
Para sa akin talaga ay maiwasan yung lahat yung pakikipagkaisa dito sa mga malaking bansa sa daigdig na
I don't want to say this, but he resembles President Duterte.
ang relasyon ay gagawin tayong parang pawn lang sa mga kanilang mga labanan.
Trust.
Ang aking naiisip talaga ay maging unaligned ang ating bansa sa mga malaking kapitalistang bansa sa daigdig, tapusin yung ating military agreement sa US, yung Mutual Defense Treaty, yung BFA, yung EDCA, at pati yung relasyon natin sa China na dihado tayo. Bakit pagkasundo lamang tayo doon sa mga bansa nagagalang sa ating mga karapatan, sa ating soberanya, sa ating territorial integrity, sa ating mga panuntunan.
So yeah, he's basically saying that those countries that treat us like treat us as a front. They treat us as a front, and we don't get anything from it. Like it's unfair on our side. It should stop. That's what he's basically saying. He also mentions agreements that I won't go over. So.
Any follow-up questions, Professor Carlos?
Yeah, Mr. De Guzman, kung gusto ninyong non-aligned po tayo, ay saan po tayo tutukod? Alam niyo naman ng ating military yung pinakamahina sa buong ASEAN region.
So yeah, she had a follow-up question that where should the Philippines align with, because we all know that the military force of the Philippines is weak. Yeah.
John. So, ito ba ay aspiration mo lang bilang chief executive, or is non-alignment, this is still something that will wash in international politics now?
Nine-align tayo doon sa mga bansa na magagamit lamang tayo sa kanilang mga interes. Lalo na sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon ngayon na yung China halos at Amerika ay may trade war at nagigirian sila. Huwag na tayong makisangkot sa kanilang girian. Makipag-align tayo sa mga bansa na nagsusulong ng pagkakaisa, kapayapaan at economic ang mas focus ng pagkakaisa at pagtutulungan. At hindi yung papanig sa Amerika o sa China, lalo na sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea na siya ang pinaka mainit na usapin sa ngayon. Magagamit lamang tayong phone ng sino man sa kanila. Kaya dapat makipagkaisa tayo sa mga bansa dito sa Southeast Asia at tayo ay magtulungan para sa ikauunlad ng mamayan. Iwasan natin.
So yeah, he's basically saying that the Philippines should not be involved with these countries that have wars, cold wars, I think, cold wars maybe, that have issues. Instead focus on countries that focus on countries, Southeast Asian countries that no drama, like no drama at all.
Ng gera.
Is there any rebuttal from our candidates? I can see Professor Carlos wanting to be part of the debate.
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not dominating the questions, Carrie.
No,
You
it's
just
okay.
strike me down, if I need to shut out. Yeah.
Yes, we've budgeted the time. If there are no reactions from the candidates to each other's answers, we are allotting the additional time to follow-up questions from our
Can
panelists.
I just do one follow?
Yeah, it should be a debate between the candidates, but what happens is the panelists ask questions rather than the candidates debating.
Follow up with Mr. De Guzman.
Of course.
Okay, well, I'm interested in the concept of non-alignment because, I don't know that, it's like once upon a time we talked about that. So, sino hong mga bansa kaya ang ating, anong pangalan nila? Ang ating sasamahan dahil sinabi ninyo.
So, she's asking what countries, since he mentioned we should involve ourselves with Southeast Asia, the countries in Southeast Asia. So she's asking what countries would that be?
Ay sasama tayo sa mga non-aligned countries because most countries have cast their lots with either the United States of America, with Russia, or with PROC. So saan tayo? Diyan lang ba tayo nakaupo sa bakod?
Ang gusto natin ay hindi dependent, kundi isang independent foreign policy at makikipagkasundo tayo. Hindi naman tayo magpuputol, kundi makikipagkasundo tayo sa mga bansa na re-respeto doon sa ating soberanya at territorial integrity. Mas ganon at ang mas makakakapit natin sa mga
Russia would want an agreement between a country that wants a part of you when we already won the case, but still they wanna claim something that's within our boundaries. So
kasalukuyan, lalo na sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea, ay itong mga Asian country. At yan ang ating makakakampi sa kasalukuyan. At hindi, ayaw ko talaga na pumanig sino man sa kanila, sa Russia, sa China, na nagsusulong lang naman ng kanilang personal na
I get his point because these are big countries already, and Philippines trying to insert on these countries is just a like cherry on top, like toppings. It's either they take advantage of it, I don't know, but yeah, these countries are already big and
interes at hindi sa interes ng kapayapaan at kaunlaran ng buong daigdig.
Salamat po.
Thank you, gentlemen. If there are no rebuttals for this issue, we can proceed with the next panelist's question. So, no more rebuttals? Okay. Our next question will be coming from Attorney Rolex Suplico. Attorney, your question, please.
Madamong salamat, Karen. Mayong gabi sa tanan. Issue po ng kahit kaninong administrasyon, ang korupsyon. Na tinatansyang may epekto sa mahigit kumulang 20% ng budget.
so in this part it's, I think, Tagalog. So I think I'm gonna end my reaction on that one because I got a pretty nice topic there. Yeah, I'm gonna end my reaction on that particular time because Professor, you urged me to watch presidential debate. Oh, the comments. Many of the commenters praise Professor because she's good in words and she asked in English. It's actually it's educational and informative, and it gave those who are not famous have their platforms or have their stage to voice out their plans for the Philippines. So it's so being involved in this kind of topics in my small little way. This is a world-class debate. A very professional ambience. That's all for this video. I'm gonna end it now. Would I want to watch these 4 hours? I don't know. But yeah, I think that's it. If there's any updates, for sure I would do a reaction and a follow-up update about the presidential events. But yeah, I also saw a lot of memes regarding that earlier event this February, which is the presidential campaign rally. So I might check on that because Philippines are also fond of doing memes. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'm gonna end it now. So, overall, I'm just hoping for a peaceful presidential turnover. For me, President Duterte served us well. He has many enemies in his term. A lot of toxicity, knowing that the vice presidential post and the president are opposing each other. Of course, it is their freedom to choose, but sometimes it's tiresome to be involved. And so yeah, I'm glad to share with you my thoughts on Philippine politics, and for this particular clip on our video. So yeah, that's all for this video. The chickens are very noisy now, and it's almost 1 hour. Yeah, so this is my POV. I mean, just how...
First, we have Grammarly. The free version checks basic spelling and grammar.